Hi, thank you so much for inviting me, and it's really a great honor for me to speak here. Thank you to the ones who were speaking before already. That was really great, and actually I'm happy it's now my turn, even though I really enjoyed your speeches, but it kind of created some nice suspense, let's say. I'm really not good at presentations, especially not at PowerPoint. I haven't done that since university, I think. And I'm usually either the understatement version of myself or the megalomania version of myself. And I have it on paper because otherwise I also wouldn't manage. So I think my inner feeling is that I actually never fit my surroundings. And I, like you put it already, cannot remember a time where I actually ever fit or had been in accord with the Zeitgeist. Maybe this image shows this feeling quite well. Yes, I'm a director for theater and film, multimedia artist, theater author, and when I do theater, I love to focus on tragic comedies and try to create a new stage language that merges different styles of writing, from poetic drama to digital talk, trash talk, and to create a new genre out of that. I'm really in love to merge the abyss with humor, to find prophecy, but also pop culture. And especially I love the absurd, pathos, and self-irony. Yes, and what I also like is Gesamtkunstwerk, because it somehow merges everything together what I like. So I slowly get more and more into large multimedia exhibitions where I can extend this theatrical approach into more immersive or hybrid settings. And when I do film, I usually have a cameo appearance somewhere, and this is from the film No Ghost He Called. Actually, the main character who it was all about is sitting there, so I'm happy he's there too. And once doing the names, Micha Kaplan is also there, who did the soundtrack for that. So yeah, that was in Siberia, and that maybe also tells a little bit of my approach, because in the beginning when I started, I actually used art a lot to comprehend more of the world. So I was traveling a lot, exploring a lot, studying a lot, and in the end also discovered many versions of myself, actually. And yes, I was kind of restless, so I also went to countries like Karabakh or Transnistria that officially do not exist, and that kind of had a big influence on me. How did it all start? I was born in the 80s in Bremen, in a small harbor city where you have like a very strong bourgeois on one side and a super left wing on the other side. We were kind of the economic miracle children. I went to this elite high school with hockey tournaments, tennis tournaments, ballroom dancing, chanson singing on the bikes, German Sunday bath, you name it, everything was there. So then, up here you find my best friend from the time and me later in high school, and it's not about so much on us, this picture, but more what's written in the back on the chalkboard, to lose and to choose, and somehow, because we were like this couple, it explains a lot of this time also, because we were always kind of in this dualism of this super bourgeois and still trying to break out somewhere. So we had a lot of dreams and were talking a lot about freedom. And many years later, a close friend would call me a Prussian punk, and I think it resonates already from that time back then. Yeah, on this image in the right corner, I took it from a shelter that was in my street. There were actually 3 huge shelters from the Second World War, and they had these really nice graffitis on it, and like this one. It's one that's still there, actually, and it kind of makes me feel at home in a way. It means every border is just a thought, and the way it's put there, jede Schranke nur ein Gedanke, somehow it has also this 80s touch in the phrasing, and the way it's just sprayed roughly on the wall also has some pure moment in it, what kind of, yeah, kept on following me. And in the bottom you see the three master, or one of the three masters of my, how do you call it, seafaring family, where I also partly originate from. So I was kind of brought up on the other side with all the seafaring stories, and with this credo, my homeland is the sea. So of course it made me restless and explained maybe all these traveling from later on in my life. And it was also looking at this school, I couldn't believe that it was all, let's say. So because everything was super set, super accomplished around me, and so I started to run away. And in primary school, once we had this teacher, once I set out for the search of Adam and Eve, actually, because we had this primary school teacher who was telling us that Adam and Eve are our real parents. So I thought I should look for them. And then actually for my parents, it was kind of hard actually to understand what's the matter, because they were thinking they were my parents, of course. Yeah, that's about my primary school. There was something else that was equally important during that time, that was TV. And it was this high glossy TV cosmos from the 80s that had a very strong impact on my life later on. And I have to say I wasn't allowed to watch TV, so maybe that's explaining why I got so hooked, of course. And every time I went to my grandmother, it was all about this. So I even would get up at 5 or 6 in the morning just to watch TV. But everything that was on at that time was teleshopping, advertisement. I watched I don't know how many series of this just because it was on. Glücksrad, yes, Lucky Wheel. So it had really big influence on how I see it now, later on my view on how to combine pop culture maybe with, at the same time, the need for content, the need for poetry or philosophy on the other side. At the same time, and maybe that's why it's also coming back to me nowadays, is that it was somehow this time of the Golden West, maybe, yeah? And it was what is in absolute decay now. And it was also the time of the super big promises. It was the time of this promise that peace, everything is will be there, and that the human actually is gifted for creating peace. And we know where we are now. So, and when I look at it, or when I think back of it, I have the feeling also that we were kind of like a generation of, you could call too much future, because everything was so bright. And of course, years later, I understood that all of this was only possible maybe on the expense of other people, other countries, and that all these promises are actually a very big fight we are doing still. So that's shaping me quite a lot. And to comment on it like this, maybe the Enlightenment century never stops. So I think it resonates from there that everything gets more and more political, more and more pathetical also of what I would like to do. So to work with these promises and advertising styles becomes more and more important, actually. And I'm fascinated by headlines, by slogans, and but of course in twisting their meaning or creating new meanings with that. Yeah, you can maybe see that also in these video stills. They're from my work, Holy Shit, which I will speak about later. We enter a lot of holiness here too, so it connects with you maybe. Yes, and how did this holiness, besides this advertising, come into my life? Yes, there was one thing, this seafaring background, that at some point I went to boarding school in South Africa, and still I don't know actually how my parents accepted it, because I told them, okay, I would like to live in Africa alone for some time on my own now, and somehow they allowed me. And I was like 15, 16 at that time, and but it was really this super strong urge. If I don't leave, I was about to implode, let's say. Yeah, it was really and I was super shy at that time, so I didn't have these ways of expression yet. And I just said Africa randomly, actually, because I thought it's really far away and it should be like super different from what I know. And that's what it was all about. And of course, getting there was something completely else from what I've seen. And it was 98, so apartheid was just over, but of course just on paper, so because it was shortly after, and that taught me super many lessons on racism, justice, equality, and all this. Coming back to some holiness. Boarding school, every week, once, we, meaning 1,000 girls in school uniform, had to go to this gigantic hall, kneel down, and sing the Lord's Prayer. And there was just one woman on stage on the piano accompanying that. And I was, and still am, actually, like super afraid of any kind of mass movements, of carnivals, motto parties, soccer games, everything, or mainstream. It really, I don't know, kind of created fear. So at that time, of course, I was wondering, how did I end up in this mass devotion? And I was there for some time, so it was like I had to go there every week. And then somehow this melody was so catching, and the singing of these 1,000 voices actually so pure that I found myself singing along. And actually, and that's the beauty about it, it was the only moment when black and white at my school were actually united and treated as one. So, yeah, this time, how do you call it? Yeah, gave me a lot concerning humanistic matters, but also prophecy and holiness, which I would use later on as tools, and which come back quite a lot to me nowadays. So also this kneeling feeling on the bottom, let's say, and in this mass also provided me with some senses for playing with spiritual megalomania also, which I love to quote nowadays. But of course, in order to create my own spirituality, or to create my own political works. And to give some examples, Werner, we see him here in the upper corner on the right. It's stills from one short film. It's called Dominus Dixit. It's about a service that goes all but the right way. So it's the liturgy is actually twisted. And up here is that's from later. It's a teaser for a theater piece called Beauty. And of course, it's not about cosmetical beauty, but let's say a more different beauty. Oh shit! Sorry. We are beautiful. You are beautiful. 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 Yes. So it resonates, and maybe it's also due to these like super weird sensual spiritual senses that I love theater, because theater, it's also like a temple and a Gesamtkunstwerk by itself, and it's so, or you can create a world which only lasts for a moment, but with absolute conviction, and to create this absolute conviction and then just go on to do the next, it's something where I see a lot of freedom also to create worlds. And yeah, how did that come into my life? I was assistant director at Volksbühne Berlin, the theater for avant-garde and new drama, where I learned a lot. It was crazy times, super nice still. It was a very manly place back then. So I had to assert myself really much between all these male directors to find myself as a female director. And it's only some years ago, but still it was quite different. So very often I had touching hands on my lap, but I didn't get contracts. when I got contracts, I decided to use this also artistically, so not to suffer, but to, again, turn it upside down, what I perceive. And that can actually be a lot of fun. And in one production where Micha also was involved, first I ordered a gigantic dick from my stage designer. It's here. And and actually, there's also the connection to Gesamtkunstwerk, because for this piece, we did not only like a theater piece, but also a feature film, many short films, and we had this poster campaign. So there was posters hanging all over Vienna for 1 month, actually, aiming for innovation instead of tradition. And we had a website where people could free themselves from toxic power. Unfortunately, it's not online anymore. It was for 3 years, but then the leading team of the theater changed, so they killed the website. Yeah, but all the films exist still that were online, but yeah. What else? Yeah, speaking about penis, I got pregnant. And gave birth to Ludwig Apollo on the right, and yeah, of course, it changed my life completely. It's the most precious thing ever that could happen. Very often he's my muse. Sometimes he's super annoying, but most of the time he's a really cool kid. Here I was bored right before giving birth, so I started to take this endless serial of pictures in front of cars.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I was like, are these your cars, or like, are you that rich?
I have it, you know, they're parked around the corner.
Why tell
With chauffeurs waiting for you.
Exactly. No, actually, this is also because I was bored. I cannot sing. I made, with my boyfriend and the father, we made this Italo pop at that time, and we shot like music videos, and yeah, that's, in the end, we used a lot of these images for this video, but that's a different story. Yeah, everything changed. Of course, I was more at home, so I started getting my inspiration from other things, also scrolling image feeds nonstop, and somehow, because I am so hooked to images and slogans and phrasing, I really drowned in visuals, and started to illustrate art books for theaters instead of like writing program books. I have some I can pass around. It's like these with the drawings, and I also made a lot of like mood boards, and because I like found footage so much, and this is one I did for 2 productions, like only with found footage material, which I used as inspiration for filming and writing. Just pass it around. Yeah, I tried to, with all this, like from before, find new ways of merging text, visuals, prophecy, pop culture, stage language, and then also what started to fascinate me more was the, let's say, Instagrammability of language, also that you start phrasing on stage in a way that you could connect it to the digital world, but at the same time, or next moment, go with poetry against it, so you still have the dramatic atmosphere to it. And politically, it doesn't go any better, so of course that got even stronger in my inner discussion. So I tried with all these researchers online to also find ways to deal with all these empty speeches, what we hear from our politicians, and all this bullshit, to find a way to turn it upside down or to create my own style out of it. And this culminated in projects like Holy Shit. And Holy Shit was actually like a bigger campaign, let's say, aiming to rewrite the algorithm on the internet, and to rewrite or change the algorithm of Musk and Co. and Instagram and all this. And so we produced like a lot of videos and posted it for 1 month and pretended that we were like this big mass movement, changing the floods, and people were invited to also repost it. And of course, we didn't change Musk's and Zuckerberg's feeds, but it was the aim to do so and to make a point with it. And and also just to pretend that this bright and radical, prosperous future could come back. And coming back to the holiness, also we created like temples, like you see on the right. It's in silent green in this dome, where we had like at the bottom LED walls with like all the videos, and at some point they went up to meet up in the dome, so that it turned into like a 360 feel, and the live musicians entered. So that's something that gets more and more interesting to me, actually, to create also happenings, that it's not if it's not theater, but if like an exhibition places, to create a happening that people kind of can drown or get into, let's say, Rausch or so, but to evolve together or so. And what else? What I love also about my work is actually like these moments. It's like the moment when you shoot it and it looks so unsexy. Yeah, you have usually shitty studios, even though you get a lot of funding, but and then, I mean, it looks like trash, really, how they are wrapped up in this plastic. And at the same time, you work on the perfect illusion to reach this. And it's something I just really, really like. It's also what I like about stage designs, that for the front, it always looks perfect to the audience. But if you enter it from the side or from the back, it's a completely different story. And again, we are back at these two worlds of when do you enter to create this beauty or illusion or content. And I remember this, it was at some point so beautiful when they did it, and of course we just aimed at the video for like 30 seconds, and then we shot it like 10 minutes because it was so nice to see them do it, and somehow we all got into this. It was really beautiful, actually. It's even then so hard to edit it, because like this moment suddenly, because they're all also theater actresses, it was so suddenly it filled the space, and this ugliness of the space disappeared. And that's something I always love, also like in theater, when you usually have like shitty rehearsal stages, shitty costumes, and then like week by week you add on like the magic, and it's something I really love a lot. And you can see all this stuff, of course, is only possible with other people, with big teams. And that's something that I'm very thankful for, that I have quite a few people, and here are two already, that have accompanied me like for so long and doing certain things. And also because I never actually, how do you say it? I wasn't the one who's doing Hamlet in this, and there's a variation on stage, or please can you do Faust in this interpretation, in that setting. No, it was actually, I never learned that, and I never wanted that, actually. And so I always had people that kind of joined in to try out new formats again and again and again, and that's something very precious to me. Yes, and like I said, it's like an artistic search and development, and with every work, maybe a new discovery comes on top, like from like the inner discussion, but also like the format in which it's done. But like when I look at my last pieces now, or last works, everything somehow calls out for this different world. And I'm also not a politician. I don't know what it should look like, but somehow this urge of just not agreeing, and that we can maybe evolve to something else, it's like still super strong. So I tried to beautify it. I had the apocalypse, and then I made a prophecy. I tried it all, and I feel a little bit like Platon in his cave, when he's like, or like this Diogenes with this lamp, who's walking around during daylight and like shouting into this darkness all the time again, but still somehow I don't give up yet. And so the next thing I will do that comes. It's connected to TV from my childhood. Maybe the Germans know it, Heintje. He was this like singer. Child singer, yeah, it's like super weird, and but since we have all these discussions on nationalism and etc., I was thinking a lot about this German genre of homeland movies, Heimatfilm, and Heintje came back to my life, and it's something actually I saw also on TV when I was a child. So somehow this TV was fucking strong in my discussions, and somehow because all these topics are back out there, it's so now I'm working on finding something to make maybe like the nightmare version of this Homeland movie, and we start in 2 weeks to rehearse, so let's see. And yeah, but it's also something, especially now, where, I mean, every day you wake up in a different world, no? And because the news are just so extreme, and it's also, of course, a question of how to deal with that. Do I have to deal with it artistically, actually? How can I do it without moralizing? Like, always trying to find a way that there's lightness in it also, or humor. Maybe that's why Heintje will be important. So this, search somehow still goes on. And yeah, as pathetic as it is, I guess I will still go on for calling out for more and more beauty out there. And maybe to summarize it with this video from Holy Shit. Yes. It's another cameo, of course. Yeah, so I just hope that there will be that it will be bright what we will find after all this trash. And yes, coming to my last slide, that was from my show where Micha was also involved, called Last Prayer. So it's all about the holy names at the moment. Thank you so much. Yeah.